People vanish every day, but what if I told you someone disappeared in broad daylight, in front of cameras, in front of witnesses, and left nothing behind, not even footprints? This isn't just a story about a missing person. This is about a town that swallowed secrets whole. A case that seemed unsolvable, where lies stacked on lies, and the truth only came out when it was already too late. Today, you'll hear the story of a young woman named Maya Rivers, a journalist who vanished while chasing a story she should have left alone. This is not the kind of story you just listen to, it's one you'll feel crawl under your skin. We are new on YouTube, and we can grow faster if you like this video and subscribe. Maya Rivers was 29. Ambitious. Fearless. A reporter who hated small talk but loved chasing big shadows. She wasn't the kind of journalist who wrote about festivals or weather forecasts. No, she poked her nose into places where people wanted silence. That last assignment of hers? It was about the Caldwell family, one of the wealthiest families in Ravenwood, a small industrial town tucked in the Northern Valley. The Caldwells owned shipping yards, construction companies, and half the local council. They were practically untouchable. On a rainy Thursday evening, Maya texted her best friend, "If this story doesn't break me, it'll make my career. Either way, wish me luck." That was the last message anyone got from her. The next morning, her car was found parked at the edge of an abandoned railway station. The driver's side door is wide open. Keys in the ignition. Phone on the seat. But Maya? Gone. Police searched for days. Dogs, volunteers. Nothing. No blood. No struggle. Just gone. And here's where it gets strange. Surveillance footage from a shop across the street showed her walking toward the railway, pausing, turning back as if she saw someone, then she vanished off the frame. The town of Ravenwood wasn't exactly new to strange disappearances. Over the last 20 years, 5 other people had gone missing in the same railway district. Different ages. Different times of year. But always within a 2-mile radius of the tracks. Locals whispered about the Iron Ghost, a figure that supposedly haunted the tracks, punishing those who trespassed. Cops laughed at it, but older residents swore by the story. And every time a new disappearance happened, the legend grew teeth. Detective Daniel Cross was the one assigned to Maya's case. He wasn't the town's hero cop, more like the guy who'd seen too many bad endings. Divorce papers on his desk, a coffee addiction that could fuel a small country, and eyes that hadn't seen proper sleep in years. But Cross had one thing most others didn't: he remembered patterns. And the moment he saw Maya's case file, the railway connected with all the old files he kept hidden in a box under his bed. The problem? Every time he pushed deeper into those old cases, someone upstairs would pull him back. His captain told him, "Drop it. Focus on the living, not the missing." But Cross couldn't. Because he knew one thing everyone else pretended not to see: the Caldwells' name popped up in every single missing person's case. Each victim had, in some way, crossed paths with the Caldwell family businesses. Employees. Contractors. A whistleblower. And now? A journalist. Cross wasn't chasing ghosts. He was chasing people with real power. And people with power don't like being cornered. Detective Daniel Cross sat in his car outside the abandoned railway station, the engine off, the rain tapping on the windshield like a nervous drummer. He'd been staring at Maya's abandoned car for the better part of an hour, replaying the surveillance footage in his head. She walks. She hesitates. She turns back. Then, gone. Cross hated puzzles like this. Not because they were hard, but because they made him feel like the answers were already there, hiding in plain sight, laughing at him. He got out, boots sinking into the mud, and moved closer to the tracks. The place smelled of rust and wet earth. Old posters clung to the station walls, half-torn, warning people to stay off the property. That's when he noticed something the forensics team missed. A cigarette, but crushed against the concrete, is still damp but fresh. Cross picked it up with a tissue from his pocket. Marlboro Red. Not Maya's type. He knew because reporters like her carried pens, not smokes. Which meant someone was here, watching her. And they didn't care about leaving traces. 2 nights later, Cross found himself at the back of a bar called the Rusted Nail, the kind of place where the jukebox always played too loud and secrets changed hands quicker than drinks. He was meeting Liam Doyle, a dock worker who used to load shipments for the Caldwell shipping company. Liam was nervous, his eyes darted around like a rabbit in a fox den. "You didn't hear this from me," Liam whispered, leaning in. "But the Caldwells, they don't just move steel and lumber. Some crates never get opened. No paperwork. No customs. Just straight from the port to their private warehouses." Cross raised an eyebrow. "What's in the crates?" "That's the thing," Liam muttered. "I don't know. Nobody does." But anyone who starts asking questions, he trailed off, throat tightening. "They don't stick around long." The implication hit hard. Maya wasn't just writing a story. She was poking into the one secret the Caldwells protected most. Cross scribbled notes in his little black pad. He knew better than to record anything. Ravenwood wasn't safe for digital trails. But as he slid the notebook back into his jacket, Liam grabbed his wrist. His voice shook. "You need to stop, detective. You don't know how deep this goes." Cross stared him down. "Then tell me." Liam's jaw clenched. He opened his mouth to speak, but before a word came out, a loud crash echoed from the bar's entrance. 2 men in leather jackets stormed in. Their eyes scanned the crowd. Cross knew instantly. They weren't here for drinks. And Liam Doyle had just signed his death note. Chaos erupted inside the Rusted Nail. The jukebox cut off mid-song, glasses shattered, chairs scraped against the floor. Cross pulled Liam down just as the first shot rang out, splintering the wood where Liam's head had been. The 2 men weren't drunk brawlers. They moved like professionals, gun steady, steps sharp. Hired muscle. Caldwell muscle. "Go!" Cross hissed, shoving Liam toward the back exit. Bullets ripped through tables as people screamed and ducked. Cross pulled his service pistol, firing twice, not to kill but to cover their escape. One of the shooters staggered back, clutching his shoulder. The other pressed forward. They burst through the kitchen, steam and shouts filling the air, then out into the alley. Rain poured harder, blurring the neon lights. Liam was panting, eyes wide with terror. "They'll kill me, Cross. They'll kill me." "Not if I get to them first," Cross growled, scanning the alley. But the sound of tires screeching made his gut sink. A black SUV slid into view at the end of the alley, headlights cutting through the rain. Doors opened. More men. More guns. Cross aimed his pistol, finger tight on the trigger, but then something strange happened. The SUV doors slammed shut. The men stayed inside, watching. Cross felt the hair rise on the back of his neck. Whoever was inside that car wasn't here to shoot. They were here to warn. To show power. To make sure he knew that his every move was under a microscope. The SUV reversed, taillights fading into the storm. Cross lowered his weapon slowly, but his chest still burned with fury. Detective Cross didn't sleep that night. He sat at his kitchen table, nursing cold coffee, staring at the cigarette but in its evidence bag. Marlboro Red. Small detail, but it nagged at him. He flipped through Maya's notes that her editor had handed over. Her handwriting was fast, messy, but her words sharp as glass. Caldwell import records don't match port logs. Missing workers, always linked to Caldwell sites. Check warehouse on Riverbend Road. Trucks come in at night, never leave with cargo. Cross rubbed his temples. She was onto something. Something so hot it got her erased. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Detective Cross, a voice whispered, raspy, urgent. "Who is this?" "You don't know me. But I know you're looking for Maya Rivers." Cross sat up. "Where is she?" Silence, then a sharp exhale. You'll find her if you stop asking questions in daylight. Look where the shadows move. The Riverbend warehouse isn't just a building. It's a grave. Click. The line went dead. Cross tried calling back. No answer. But those last words looped in his head like a curse. It's a grave. 2 nights later, Cross drove to the edge of Riverbend Road. The warehouse loomed in the dark like a sleeping beast, corrugated metal walls streaked with rust. No guards at the front, but the silence was too perfect, too rehearsed. He killed the headlights, slipped out of the car, and crept closer. The air stank of oil and mold. Then he saw them, trucks. Not 1, not 2, but 5. Parked in a neat line. Engines cold, but the mud beneath them was fresh. They'd arrived recently. Cross pulled out his flashlight, covering the beam with his hand to keep it dim. He circled the first truck. Padlocked doors. He pressed his ear to the metal. Nothing. The second truck, though, had something. A faint sound. A dull thud. Then another. Like fists hitting steel. Cross's heart pounded. He yanked at the padlock. Solid. He looked around, no tools. No time. But then the third thud came, sharper this time. And a muffled voice. Weak. Desperate. Help. Cross froze. It wasn't a ghost. Someone was inside. Before he could think, headlights flared behind him. Another truck rolled into the lot, and with it, 2 Caldwell guards. Cross ducked behind the trailer, gun in hand, breath shallow. The guards got out, laughing about something, their flashlights sweeping lazily across the yard. One of them tapped the side of the second truck. Quiet tonight. The other smirked. Won't be quiet for long. Boss wants em moved tomorrow. They walked off toward the warehouse doors, never checking behind the truck. Cross's hand shook. If Meyer was in one of those trucks, he couldn't wait until tomorrow. But if he acted now, he'd be signing his death warrant. And for the first time in years, Daniel Cross felt real fear crawling in his chest. Cross made his choice. He waited until the guards disappeared inside, then pulled out his pocket knife. It wasn't much, but the lock on the second truck looked worn. He jammed the blade in, twisting, forcing it until the metal snapped with a soft click. The doors creaked open. The smell hit him first, sweat, urine, and despair. Inside, huddled in the dark, were 3 people. 2 men, barely conscious, and a young woman with tangled hair and bruised wrists. Her eyes met his. Hollow. Haunted. Are you Maya Rivers? Cross whispered. The woman shook her head weakly. No, they took her. She's not here. Cross's stomach dropped. Where is she? Her lips trembled. Downstairs, in the pit. Before he could ask, shouts erupted from the warehouse. The guards were coming back. Cross helped the woman out, motioned for the men to follow, but they were too weak to run. He dragged them into the shadows behind the trailers, pressing a finger to his lips. The guards' footsteps echoed closer. One of them noticed the broken lock. Shit. Someone's here. Guns cocked. Cross aimed his pistol, adrenaline burning his veins. He had 3 choices. Take the guards out, risk drawing the whole nest. Run with the survivors, leaving Meyer's trail behind. Or step into the light, gamble everything on bluffing. The woman's hand clutched his arm. Her whisper barely audible, "Don't let them take us back." And Cross realized this wasn't just about Meyer anymore. This was about how many lives the Caldwells had already buried. Cross didn't run. He didn't bluff. He did what every cop with too many scars does, he fought. The first guard rounded the corner, flashlight beam cutting through the rain. Cross fired once. The bullet clipped the man's shoulder, spinning him sideways with a cry. The second guard shouted, raising his weapon, but Cross charged, slamming him into the side of the truck. Their guns clattered across the mud. The rescued woman screamed as the struggle broke loose. The half-conscious men inside the shadows moaned, too weak to move. Cross wrestled the guard, fists flying, mud splattering. He caught the man's wrist, twisted hard until a bone popped. The guard collapsed, gasping. The other, wounded but not dead, staggered back to his feet, aiming blindly. Cross dove for his gun and fired. The man fell. Silence. Except for the pounding in his ears. Cross knew he had minutes before reinforcements came swarming. He crouched beside the woman. If Maya's inside, I'm going in. The woman grabbed his sleeve, desperation in her eyes. Then don't go through the front. Go underground. They take them through the cellar doors, by the south wall. Cross nodded, adrenaline burning like fire in his chest. Stay hidden. If I'm not back, run. The south wall cellar doors were heavy iron, bolted with a rusted chain. Cross smashed the padlock with the butt of his gun until it cracked. The hinges screeched as he pulled them open. A foul stench rose up, like rotten old blood. The kind of smell that clung to your throat, that whispered you shouldn't be here. He descended the steps, gun raised, flashlight trembling slightly in his hand. The air grew colder. Then he saw it. The cellar wasn't a storage room. It was a chamber. A pit carved out of stone, with cages lined along the walls. Rusted iron bars. Chains bolted to the floor. And inside, bodies. Some alive, some not. All broken. Cross's heart slammed against his ribs. This wasn't a warehouse. It was a holding pen. A voice croaked from the nearest cage. Detective. Cross swung the beam. A face. Thin, bruised, but alive. Maya Rivers. She clutched the bars, tears streaking her dirt-covered cheeks. You shouldn't have come. Cross dropped to one knee. Relief and fury collided in his chest. Maya, I'm getting you out. She shook her head violently. No, you don't understand. They're coming. They don't let anyone leave this place alive. A metallic echo rang through the chamber. Footsteps. Slow. Confident. Cross whipped his gun toward the staircase. And then he saw him. The figure that stepped into the dim light wasn't some hired thug. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a tailored coat that didn't belong in a warehouse basement. His presence alone shifted the air, calm, collected, dangerous. Detective Cross, the man said smoothly, voice echoing. I was wondering how long it would take before you found your way here. Cross tightened his grip. Caldwell. A thin smile. Elias Caldwell. The one you've been chasing in the dark. Cross aimed at his chest. You're under arrest for kidnapping, trafficking, murder. Elias chuckled, slow and deliberate. Please, detective. You're smarter than that. Do you think Ravenwood police would dare put me in cuffs? Every judge, every captain, every politician here, they belong to me. Maya gripped the bars. Elias turned, his smile fading as he looked at her. You, my dear, should have stayed in your lane. But no, you had to dig. Cross steadied his aim, finger brushing the trigger. Open her cage. Now. Elias raised his hand slowly, mock surrender. You pull that trigger, detective, and this whole town burns. Do you know how many bodies are tied to me? How many families fed by my empire? Without me, Ravenwood doesn't stand. I'm not a man. I'm the foundation. Cross's breath came heavy. His instinct screamed to shoot. But his gut told him one thing: Elias wasn't bluffing. Maya's voice cracked. Don't let him talk you down. He'll never stop. Elias's eyes locked with Cross's. Cold. Unflinching. You want to be a hero? Heroes end up in graves. Just like the rest. And then he snapped his fingers. From the darkness beyond the cages, shadows moved. More guards. More guns. Surrounding the detective. Cross's heart raced. He was outnumbered. Trapped in the pit. Maya still locked away. And for the first time, Daniel Cross realized this wasn't his case anymore. This was a war. The pit was alive with shadows. Guns leveled at Cross, safeties clicking off. Maya's voice cracked through the chaos. "Don't give up, Daniel." Elias Caldwell descended the last few steps, each one slow and deliberate. His polished shoes looked out of place against the damp stone floor. "You see?" Elias said softly, almost kindly. "You walked right into my arms. You've been chasing ghosts while I've been pulling the strings. You think you found me, but I wanted you here." Cross's jaw clenched. "Why? Why bring me down here if you could have had me killed in that bar?" Elias smiled faintly. "Because men like you are useful. You're stubborn, incorruptible, hard to break. I need men like that. Imagine what you could accomplish if you weren't wasting your time serving a dying system." Cross spat into the dirt. "I'd rather rot in here than work for you." Elias sighed, like a disappointed father. "Pity. Then you leave me no choice." He snapped his fingers again. Two guards yanked Maya's cage open and dragged her out, wrists shackled. She struggled, kicking, screaming, but their grip was iron. Cross raised his gun, but another barrel pressed against the side of his head. He froze. "Watch carefully, Detective," Elias whispered. "This is what happens to anyone who defies me." The guards lifted Maya, forcing her to her knees. "Kill her," Elias ordered. Cross's instincts exploded. He headbutted the guard holding him, pain cracking through his skull, but it gave him the half-second he needed. He fired twice, point blank, dropping 2 men. The chamber erupted into chaos. Bullets ricocheted, sparks flew. Maya ducked, screaming, as Cross dove behind a cage. Dust rained from the ceiling. Elias didn't flinch. He stood in the center of the carnage, hands clasped behind his back, watching like a conductor at a symphony of violence. "Shoot him!" Elias barked. Cross rolled out, firing again. One guard fell, another staggered back clutching his thigh. But there were too many. He was running out of ammo. Then, salvation. Maya swung her shackled wrists like a club, smashing one guard's face. Cross used the opening to grab the man's dropped rifle. He unleashed a storm of bullets, cutting through the pit like thunder. The last guard fell screaming into the darkness. Silence crashed down, heavy and ringing. Cross, chest heaving, turned his gun on Elias. "It's over." Elias chuckled, low and mocking. "No, Detective. It's just begun." He pressed a button on the wall. The ground shuddered. Machinery roared to life. From hidden hatches, gas hissed into the chamber. The stench was sharp, chemical, choking. Maya coughed, eyes wide. "He's flooding it, he'll bury us alive." Elias stepped back toward the stairs, untouched, calm as ever. "Farewell, Detective. Ravenwood will remember you as a fool who drowned in the dark." Cross grabbed Maya's arm. "Move!" They scrambled toward the stairs as the gas thickened, clawing at their lungs. Cross's vision blurred. His legs felt like lead. But he pushed, dragging Maya up step by step. Behind them, Elias's footsteps echoed above. Calm. Controlled. He wasn't running. He didn't need to. The poison would finish what his bullets hadn't. At the top of the stairs, the door slammed shut with a metallic crash. Bolted from the outside. Maya pounded her fists against it, coughing blood. "We're trapped." Cross dropped the empty rifle, his chest burning. He scanned the walls. Pipes. Valves. A maintenance ladder leading up to a vent. He grabbed Maya, lifting her toward it. "Climb." She shook her head. What about you? Climb, he roared, voice raw. She scrambled up, prying the grate open with her shackles. Cross shoved her through, coughing so hard his ribs felt like breaking. The gas filled his lungs like fire. His vision narrowed. And then, another sound. A faint creak. A hatch on the far wall sliding open. A figure stepping through. Not a guard. Not Elias. It was the rescued woman from the trucks, the one Cross had freed. She held a crowbar in her hands, eyes fierce. "Detective," she rasped. "This way." Cross stumbled toward her, half blind, half dead. She pulled him through the hatch, slamming it shut behind them. Fresh air hit his lungs like knives. He collapsed, sucking it in, alive but barely. Maya crawled out of the vent above, landing beside him. Tear streaked her dirt-stained face. Elias Caldwell was gone. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting crime stories. Thanks for watching.